And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday. We have made it to the weekend as this page continues to load up. Welcome back to another episode of Grade A Fantasy as we preview the tight ends and defense. I wanted to get this video out earlier today, most likely in the morning, but had some things to do, so I'm getting this out early afternoon, and the wide receiver video will probably fall and get uploaded later in the afternoon. News is actually starting to fall as we speak, so let's just get right into the tight ends and the defense. First, the tight ends. Even though it is one of the toughest defenses, I think it's the best defense in the league right now. I think if there's anybody that has a bright spot, it is Trey McBride. Just the volume alone just still makes him a solid play at 8,000, but because of the Houston defense, I will be fading. Absolutely fading. That's my thing this week. I'll be fading all Cardinals this week. Just not doing it with the Houston defense. I'll be behind the Houston defense, but I won't be touching any offensive players, even also with the news of Marvin Harrison being out. The pay-ups are not looking that good, but like I said, it's still fantasy. They get volume. They get chances. Both Bowers and McBride look great, but if there's any pay up that I would want, I will start here. 6,500. Kittle, as you can see, is an extreme drop off from 8,000 to 74 all the way down to 65. So depending on who you think you want or what you're favoring, you can either save 1,500 or you can save 900 just going to Kittle in a great matchup against Tennessee. Probably be chalk, but it's definitely chalk that I would like to eat. Travis Kelce. It's a tougher matchup with Los Angeles, but I would love to roster KC people or KC players in the case of literally everything is an elimination game. Because if they lose this game, then they're officially out. They're almost at that edge. There's not enough time. If they lose this week, because they were already in the scenario that their best chances were to either go undefeated or go 3-1 in the last four. But when you start by losing the first one, and then obviously not only is your division continue to win, as in the Broncos and the Chargers, who both won last week, you go further in the division, and you also go further down in the playoff race. So definitely a must win as we continue. Possibly, I would say he's like my third or fourth favorite wide receiver. Tight end. Dalton Kincaid. New England, good against the run, somewhat solid, but they're vulnerable against the pass. But they do have a bit of a weakness against tight ends. So I think Kincaid's in for another sharp week. Definitely, if you're interested, I think a mini stack of him and Allen can work. I think a mini stack of Allen. I think the contrarian high upside play would be Josh Allen with Shakir and or maybe not Shakir, or maybe another wide receiver of your choice with Kincaid. Because like I said, all year, when you have Mike Vrabel is basically the same from when he was in Tennessee. Has a solid front seven that can guard the run, but just could never, ever build up the pass, regardless through the draft or so forth. He's a linebacker. He knows how to draft front seven people, just can't get the back four right. So besides Christian Gonzalez, they seem to just rely on him, because after that, whoever has the Christian Gonzalez shadow, which most likely I think could be Shakir. Yeah, I think it's either you go Kincaid, skinny with Allen, or just get another wide receiver like maybe Gabe Davis or something like that to beat them over the top. Because that's one thing Vrabel defenses do get beat often. They get beat often in deep throws, so I think that's more of a Gabe Davis, possibly even a Keon Coleman kind of play. It's always been that way, even from the Tennessee days. Tyler Warren. I do like Tyler Warren. Seattle has had trouble with the tight ends. That is their main weakness. They haven't been able to fix it. I still remember when both 49ers tight ends were big values. Both of them were 45, 4,100. You just had to get the right one. And even they, for a minimum price, got a touchdown. They both were getting touchdowns while Kittle was out early in the season. And I think it was Jake Tontis that got one inside the red zone for 8 yards, along with other touches. So Warren just because of the matchup is viable, but this is something that could just go totally wrong. But like I said, even if they're getting blown out, Warren's still going to be in there late anyway, and hopefully grab some value. As we keep going down here, I would say most likely either tied with for third or whatever for top. Harold Fannin, he's definitely the safety blanket for Shador. He's definitely most comfortable Shador's definitely most comfortable throwing to Fannin, but he's developing into getting it to Jerry Jeudy. But is he developing it enough where you just have to worry about, does he lock in on it? Absolutely not. Because right now his main two receivers are the tight end Fannin and Jerry Jeudy. So from here on for the rest of the season, I honestly don't care what the matchup is. Harold Fannin should be a lock in fantasy playoffs. I don't mind starting Harold Fannin this week either. Brenton Strange, nice matchup. The Jacksonville offense is rolling against one of the worst defenses in the league, the Jets, so he's definitely an option. Dalton Schultz on the opposite side of that Arizona game, definitely like him for his value at 54. I think he's a contrarian piece for double stacks for C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins. Mark Andrews at 53. Some of my favorite tight end plays. These are like all 1A, 1B, 2A, 2Bs. Mark Andrews and Likely, but I'm gonna go with Likely again. A couple weeks ago, he was like heavily owned for me during the Thanksgiving slate. I also hit a ladder, which as the day went on, didn't know that he was gonna get all the way up to 90 yards. I went from his 30-yard prop all the way up to 50, and then he ended up with 90-something yards, almost getting a touchdown. Likely has the same matchup again. You'll like it even more. For some reason, Mark Andrews doesn't play, but I think Mark Andrews is tending to play and trending to play. And then Juwan Johnson, you know me, I just have a soft spot for how hard these veterans work on, what veterans are left on the Saints. With Juwan Johnson, on the defense you have Cameron Jordan. There's never been a week I don't think I've never faded the Saints. I faded Kamara all year, but I haven't faded the Saints. I always make sure I get a piece of them somehow, whether it's the defense. They just don't let you down. You just got to catch them in the right week for them to boom. And Tyler Shuck is developing even better. Instead of when he first got here, it was all about Olave with a sprinkle Juwan Johnson. Now he's getting it to Von Vele. Now he's getting it to Juwan Johnson. Shuck is scrambling more for offensive, positive gains instead of scrambling for his life. And it's Carolina. I like the matchup. So Juwan Johnson definitely something I like there. But Likely is definitely like a number one, number two option for me. You gotta like Theo Johnson if he's off the injury list. Having one of my favorite stacks, even though yes, Sterling Shepard is more of the big play threat, just because of the volume and he can make a guy miss here and there. My favorite Giants stack would be Dart, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Theo Johnson. Because even though he's starting to develop even more continuity with the wide receivers, let's be real, when he first started and as he continues now, one of his favorite targets, especially a red zone target, if he's not giving up the run and he's not running himself, is Theo Johnson. And as we keep going down here, as I said, Marvin Harrison is out. There's always an uptick for certain tight ends when certain wide receivers out, but you already know T. Higgins is out. You know me, guys. I'm going to go back to my Mitch Tinsley play. But when he's out, Gesicki does get an uptick in look, so Gesicki's an option. So is his partner Noah Fant. But Gesicki's the one I think running more routes at the moment. And I don't really think I like anything else here. There is nothing of like one of those random weeks where I'm like, I like this guy for 47 or 48. There's really nothing here. I mean, you could take a swing with Chickakongwu. Remember the San Francisco 49ers defense is still not healthy, especially in the linebacker core. So maybe Chig could get some targets. Ward has been developing a little bit better slowly through the season, so that's like a dart throw there. No, there's absolutely nothing here that I like. So let's skip this and go right into the defense.